What's up, Mortgage Coach community? I am pumped. I am finally interviewing John King. John, I've been wanting to interview you for a long time, buddy.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited, Dave.
Good. Well, sometimes I got to chase people to get it done, but John is a very busy, very successful mortgage professional in Northern California, top producer by any level. John, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with everybody what market you're in, a little bit about your practice, and a little bit about your volume.
Yeah. So I am in the Sacramento, California market. I actually have been rooted in the last 18 years out of Lodi, which is a little bedroom community south of Sacramento. About 9 years ago, I moved to Roseville, which is about 30 minutes north of Sacramento. And I commuted for an hour each way until 2 years ago when I opened an office in Roseville, and I actually work both markets. So I actually work two different offices an hour apart, straddling the Sacramento metro area. This year will be at 175 units for 55 million in production.
Congratulations, man. That's a great volume. And you are not too far from Stockton. I went to high school in Stockton. I went to Lincoln High till my sophomore year in high school. So I know Lodi well.
My condolences.
Yeah. People always say that. And I'm like, I loved it. I mean, as a kid growing up there, I had a blast.
I do a lot of business in Stockton, so it's a very good market, very good people, even if you were from there, Dave.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, there is a tough part of Stockton.
There is.
No doubt. There is, no doubt. So let's talk about mortgage advice. We are literally days away from 2020. Yep. We're at the tail end of 2019. It's becoming more and more clear to me, although I think it's always been clear to me, I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, that the loan officer that's the best teacher, that delivers the best advice, has a massive advantage. And I literally think it's getting to the point where if you're a referral-based local professional, it's a matter of survival that you deliver advice, not price. What are your thoughts on that as a leader?
I 100% agree. It really is the only thing we have to differentiate ourselves. I've built my practice around telling people, look, I'm going to give you the advice that I would give my mother, my sister, my brother. There are times I'm going to talk you out of doing a mortgage, but I'm doing that because I want you to know that I have your best interest at heart. And I think that same thought process has to be elevated to a whole nother level. And we have to be able to really merge the high tech that clients have come to expect in today's world with the high touch that our online competition just can't get. They can't do it. And so being that perfect combination of high tech and high touch is really where we need to be.
No doubt. And if anybody didn't catch it, you got a pretty cool script just a minute ago. You know how he unpacks who he is for a family. And just imagine if he said all that, and then the output was a fee worksheet, rate, payment, closing costs. It's just, that's not like, oh, you said this and now I see this. But if you give a total cost analysis, the star of advice, one thing I'm doing, John, and I don't think you've seen it, but we've created this program called How to Be a Black Belt in Mortgage Advice.
Okay.
And a white belt is what we call the transactional triangle: rate, payment, closing cost. And to get to be a black belt, you've got to deliver the star. You still deliver rate, payment, and closing costs, but you deliver cost over time.
Yes.
And then you show financial strategies.
Yes.
So what are some of the most common financial strategies that come up, and where you're delivering this advice experience?
So, so my business is pretty well mixed. I'm probably 55 to 60% purchase, and 40% refi, very focused on past clients, and I've nurtured my past client database well. So I have strategies on both sides. On the purchase side, the strategy I love the most is 15% down with single premium mortgage insurance. It's a home run because nobody talks about it. And so we've got clients that walk in every day saying, hey, I want 20% down. Well, why do you want to put 20% down? Well, because I don't want to pay mortgage insurance. That's just a waste of money. And I talked to them a little bit about return on investment and show them that, hey, you're up for an investment. That money that you're putting as a down payment, the less you put down, your return on investment is greater. Because your appreciation, how much money, and I show them in real simple terms, how much money they're returning over time is based upon your purchase price, not based upon your down payment money. And I dovetail that with, let me show you an option that cost you very little over what you would pay for a 20% down payment, and you can keep extra money in your pocket. Maybe you do that for repairs. I'm a huge fan of talking to clients about keeping money in reserves, because I think that's one of the biggest problems we've had over the years is people spend every dollar they have in paying for down payment and closing costs. And so if I can help you put some money into the bank to save, I think that's a huge step in helping you build wealth and have security and success as a homeowner.
Love that. So I'm going to show my screen real quick because I just want to make sure everybody on this call, everybody listening to this interview sees, this is the black belt. And I'm not going to get into all the nuances of it, but when you become a black belt at mortgage advice, one, you've done it a lot. Like you've done a lot of reps. At Mortgage Coach, that's 300 reps, 300 TCAs. John, you've done over 500.
Right.
And heck, you've done over 50 in the past 30 days. But you know how to do it in every selling situation that you get in.
Right.
And this is one other thing that I believe, if you're a referral-based local mortgage pro, you need to know how to talk about non-QM loans. And Mortgage Coach, because you brought up the MI strategy.
Yes.
And I see all the time where top producers are able to take, MI options and turn it into a competitive advantage.
Absolutely.
Turn in a non-QM loan and no one wants the higher interest rate, but everyone wants to buy the higher purchase price, and everybody likes how that looks 5 years later, because it shows the appreciation rate over 5 years. Do you do that much? Do you, focus on that 5-year payoff very much in your conversations?
Don't focus enough on the 5-year payoff. I talk a lot about what your interest and mortgage insurance paid out over time is, and depending upon the strategy, I'll put that at long-term analysis, 15 years, sometimes 30 years. So I focus a lot more on that piece and what your cost over time is by comparing each of the options together. But no, Dave, actually, I'm not focused on the 5-year mark as much.
Well, I mean, it sounds. I'm going to show the star real quick.
Yeah.
And when you look at this star, it sounds like you're doing this a lot, where you're showing prepay options.
Yes.
Or invest the difference,
yes.
Which that's what mortgage ninjas do. They know how to use that as a financial strategy. And then it sounds like when you're delivering the TCA, you may not be talking about 5 years as a whole, but if the family said, hey, my goal is to have my house paid off in 15 years, and I want to move up into a bigger home in 5 years, you know how to have that conversation.
100%.
Okay, cool. So let's do this. I want to throughout this conversation, I want to hear how you use Mortgage Coach, and more importantly, mortgage advice with realtors.
Yeah.
But let's do like a borrower strategy.
Okay.
I know you've got a couple ready to pull up. Before you pull up the purchase, let's do the purchase first. I want to hear what your scripting is like with the borrower. Whether they're in your office or you're over the phone and you're getting ready to show them options. How do you position Mortgage Coach, and how do you position that conversation?
Got it. So it's really the same whether I'm in person or over the phone. And so I will tell the client, look, most of the time when you talk to a mortgage lender, they're simply going to tell you there's one interest rate, and that's just how the market works. And I'm going to pull back the curtain at Oz, and I'm going to show you something that no other mortgage lender is going to show you. And then I pull up Optimal Blue, and I start with showing them, hey, there is no single interest rate out there. Everybody will tell you today's rate is blank. That is a farce. There's no such thing as today's rate. You can get any rate you want. So take a look at the chart and tell me which rate you want, Dave. Clearly you want the cheapest one, but as you can tell by this line over here, there's always a cost to that. And that's what I'm about to demonstrate for you. I'm going to put together a customized worksheet that's actually a web page that I'm creating just for you. And you're going to be able to take it home with you and look at it and compare the options to help decide what's the right scenario for you and your family. So let's go ahead and get started in putting that together, Dave.
So time out. So I love so much about that. I love the way let's look at OB and pricing. You pick the rate. So I love that, rates don't change daily. They change hourly, and you can always get the one you want. So hopefully everybody got the takeaway from that. And then I love that, you're not calling it the total cost analysis. You're calling it personal worksheet. That's a web page. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so I'm going to create a personalized chart for you. I don't know, worksheet chart. I'm going to create a personalized chart that is going to show you all of the options that we decide are best for you to consider.
Love that. So I did an interview last week with Sean Herrera, who's only been in the mortgage business now for 3 years. Now he is in the Bay Area, so he's got higher loan amounts. He's going to do 70 million, but you know, he got a little, he's going to do over 100 units, I think 110, 70 million. And he's calling it a live personalized or live personal web page.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever makes sense. So guys, hopefully you got a script. Again, I like total cost analysis, but here's what I like. I like whatever you feel confident about and whatever helps you deliver better advice for your client. So why don't you pull up one of your web pages, one of your personal worksheets, sure. and now let's go through it.
Perfect. So Dave, we put together some numbers for you, and I want to show you kind of how this is going to go together. So what's interesting is most people think that interest rates, as I said a couple minutes ago, you know, there's just one rate of the day. The truth is you're right now getting pre-approved to purchase a home. Rates change every single day. As a matter of fact, I like to tell people rates are kind of like gas prices. So you might be coming home from work tonight and need to fill up your gas tank, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to wait until tomorrow morning to fill up. Guess what Murphy's Law is? It's going to be a different price tomorrow morning. So what I want to show you is an idea of what the options are for interest rates. And so the mid-range of rates right now is right here. You can see it's at 3.99%. Rates can change. And so I'm going to show you some numbers that might be as low as 3.5% to as high as 4.5%, because we won't be able to lock this rate until you get an accepted offer on a home. So here's your difference in monthly payment options. If the rate is in the mid-range, we're going to be at about $3,300 based on your desired 20% down payments. That's going to put, with closing costs, about $148,000 to close. But Dave, I want to really point something out to you. You mentioned to me that it was really important to you to put 20% down because you didn't want to pay mortgage insurance. Did I hear that correctly?
Yep.
Okay, so I've got an option, and I mentioned to you earlier, I was going to show it to you, and it's this last option here, and it's a 15% down payment, but there is no mortgage insurance included in your monthly payment. Now, don't get misled, because you're paying mortgage insurance. There's 3 ways to pay it. You can pay it every month, you can pay it as a one-time fee, or you can pay it as part of your rates. But no matter what you do, you're going to pay it. But here's the really cool thing I want to show you. If I go to my closing costs, remember we talked about the fact that you're going to be paying 1 point or 1% of your loan amount is the average cost for getting that interest rate. But when you put 15% down, the fee is actually 1/4% cheaper. So you're actually saving over $1,000 in fees for the loan. And then what we're doing is we're taking that same money and charging it to you as mortgage insurance. So you're paying $2,300 of one-time mortgage insurance, but remember, you're saving over $1,100 here. So that means you are not paying any mortgage insurance, even when you're putting 15% down. And if you notice, that payment really isn't much different. But Dave, let's talk about what you could do with an extra $30,000 in your pocket right now. Is there any work you need to do on that house?
Nice. Well, here's all the things going through my mind. First of all, you have changed the conversation. I mean, every other loan officer that's giving a fee worksheet, showing rates and fees, you're showing solutions,
right?
And you're showing them really effectively. For anyone that doesn't know, when John is updating and he's highlighting that, we call that Mortgage Coach Live. And so he's using the highlight feature, which helps him be a more effective communicator. And then if the family was on the other side, whatever device they're on, it's showing that highlighted for them. So everybody is on the same sheet of music. It looks like you use that feature a lot. I mean, you're pretty good with it.
I use it a lot, and I actually use it even when I'm face-to-face with the client. So I have a monitor that is facing the client, and I put the TCA on that monitor so that they can follow along with me. And I'm essentially doing an Edge Live presentation while we're face-to-face, not just when I'm in a different location.
Boom. Love that. Here, scroll down to the bottom real quick.
Absolutely.
I want to see what you've got in the, okay, so one pro tip, and I'm not saying you should have done this, John.
Okay.
I see a lot of loan officers that what they would have done is they would have taken that monthly, or not that money that they saved in down payment and said, well, how much are you earning on that? Right. And you could have put that as an investment. And now when you're down here and looking at 15 years, not only would they have been able to see the equity increase, right, but they would have been able to see the amount of that money increase. Here's the deal, guys. Financial planners love that. So it helps you get more referrals from financial planners. Again, it also helps you differentiate. And this is also a great strategy I've seen with non-QM loans, where you'll go like, hey, here's program A, and it's how much you qualify based off of tax returns. And here's program B, how much you qualify based on bank statements. And now you look at the net worth over time. So anyways, I just wanted to call that out. Also, it looks like you have the social survey integration turned on.
Correct.
How do you like that?
Absolutely love it. My clients love it. I think it's great because when they're looking, it just gives more validation to the fact that they're working with the right guy.
Yeah, and here's the deal, guys. These online reviews, they're so valuable in so many ways, but the Mortgage Coach TCA, I mean, that is where you're in the Coliseum, or the arena. Like when you are going through the TCA with the client, you are in that live sales experience. And so not only do you have your brand up top, your photo up top, you got your advice here at the bottom, you've got social proof that you're a badass. So thank you, Social Survey, for that integration. Anything else you want to call out here? Any other little ninja moves that you do for families or when you walk through this thing all the time?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, I just love Jeremy's strategy. It takes the rate question off the table, because when you've got people, especially when they're comparing or shopping, and I say, look, rates change every single day, and so don't be surprised that you see rates move, and they could be as low as 3.5 or as high as 4.5. And so that helps the client when they see something online that says, hey, rates are a little lower than what John had shown me. Well, I didn't show them just one number. I showed them a range, and yeah, we're still within that range. And so they're not as inclined to call somebody else to get that little bit lower rate.
Yeah, so folks, if you did, he said Jeremy, he's referring to Jeremy Forcier. I'm going to put a link down below where Jeremy gives you the 5 questions he asks every realtor. And then he also talks about how he integrates Mortgage Coach with agents. But that's a move. You see a lot of folks when it comes to pre-approvals, they're either doing interest rate options. Here's another pro tip. If you're competing with big bank or online lender, always show an option with 2 points, because online lenders do that. Big banks are going to do that. So it's just showing, hey, here's high, here's low. And when people pick the rate in the option, they're picking you. Anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think that it just really helps to walk through it with clients. I think the mistake a lot of people make is they send a TCA to a client and expect them to figure it out. And this is not a tool that I ever use for somebody to figure out. I really prefer to walk through it with them. The value comes in the explanation and the advice. The tool is amazing, Dave, and you have an absolutely amazing method of delivering it, but delivering it even with a video is great. And I use the video feature a lot, but I try to make sure that it's a follow-up, not the method that I give the information.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing, is that Mortgage Coach is powering an advice experience.
Yeah.
Yes, you can send it to a client and it's better than nothing, but it's the experience. It's the questions that you ask. It's, hey, I'm showing you that I heard you. You told me you had this goal in 3 years, this goal in 5 years, this goal at the close of escrow. And here, I put this all together for you in one place. So before we go off this strategy, do you use Mortgage Coach as an advantage with agents? And if so, how do you do that?
I use it all the time with agents. So I will make sure that in my first meeting with a realtor, I plant this.
Hey, time out real quick. Why don't you stop sharing the screen just so we can see all of you when you're talking right now? Okay,
all of me. All right. So I use it all the time with real estate agents. So I like to plant the seed with realtors. And when I meet them for coffee or I meet them at their office, I tell them, hey, one of the strategies that I want to show to you is how I present information to your clients. And I actually want to walk you through the entire process of what your client experiences when you refer them to me. So I'm planting that subliminal message that you're going to refer clients to me. And so I invite them to my office to go through a face-to-face consultation with me as if they are a client. And so while they are there doing that consultation, I go through my presentation, I go through and create a TCA with them, and then I show them how that powers the client to make informed decisions, and it keeps the client sticky with me, and it's my job to keep the client sticky with them.
Love that. So guys, that's the other thing. A mortgage coach is going to help you win more at the point of sale. For all you managers out there, it's going to, as a manager and a leader who manages a P&L, you're going to have less price exceptions, less PEs. And when you do give a price exception, it will be a smaller one if you're teaching your loan officers to negotiate better. And then two, it's going to help you with agents. So make sure if you are a mortgage coach right now and you're watching this, and it's kind of like a secret tool that your realtors don't know about, you are missing it big time. Make sure you walk them through that experience. And now with an agent, you need to more lean on like how it's going to save them time, and lean on how, hey, you know that client, I get them pre-approved. You're out looking at a house, you could just text me and I could update it. So focus on, it's a time saver and it's a conversion tool. So it's going to help me create better conversion for your first-time home buyers. It's going to help me create urgency with your first-time home buyers. And you're like, see? So John, anything you want to add to that before we move on to one more strategy?
No, I love it. I think that it really is, don't keep it a secret, because your realtors don't know how much better the information is communicated. They just are used to the fee worksheet. And so having this tool and hiding it is the dumbest thing you could do.
Yeah, so I want to close out with pro tips on how to learn to use Mortgage Coach, because you're a leader at Summit, and I want to make sure that whether it's someone at Summit or someone at any company, they learn how to learn Mortgage Coach faster, more effectively. But before we do that, I know you mentioned earlier you really are serious about your past customers,
Yes.
optimizing your past customer database.
Yes.
Just let's do one more refi strategy and then talk about what you do and how you optimize your refis from past clients.
Got it. So let's jump into this strategy. So I loved this strategy. This client came to me and they just wanted to lower their interest rate. And they had a relatively small loan amount. My average loan amount in this market's about $300,000. They owed $124,000 at 4 3/8. And so I showed them what they wanted to see, because I think the most important thing we have to remember is you've got to give somebody what they asked for before you show them what they didn't ask for, because they'll keep scratching their head saying, well, wait a second, I didn't ask for any of that, and you'll not get their attention. So the first thing I did is said, hey, Mr. Savage, appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about this. I've created this worksheet, this chart that shows you all of your options in really, really clear detail so that we can make a decision together on what the right choice is moving forward. So you mentioned that your most important goal right now was to get a lower interest rate that'll lower your monthly payments. But you also mentioned that you're working a job that you hate, and you're hoping to retire sooner, but you know that you just don't have an option. And so paying off faster was important to you in order to retire and not have to stay in that job you hate. Did I hear you correctly, Dave?
You did. Thank you.
Perfect. So I went a little outside the box. The first thing I want to show you, though, is what you asked for. So right now, interest rates are definitely lower. I can get you down to a 3.5% interest rate, which sounds great. I mean, I'm going to drop you from 4.375. That's almost 1% off of your interest rate. The problem is anytime you refinance, there are fees associated with it. And so we're going to be raising your loan amount from $124,000 to $132,000. There's a pro and con there that says, hey, is it worth that cost? And that's what I want to help you figure out right now. And really where it comes down is how much is it saving you in monthly payments, and how much is it saving you over the long haul in interest over time. So what you'll notice is it saves you only about $15 a month. Now, it's not only about monthly payment savings, because you talked about paying off faster, but Dave, you only have about 25 and a half years left. And so right now I'm saving you maybe 6 months, maybe 5 months worth of payments. The truth is, over the next 15 years, sure, I'm going to save you $12,000 in interest, but I got to tell you, I'm not a huge fan. I don't think if that was our only strategy, I don't think this is the right thing to do, because we're going to put you backwards in equity, and it's going to take quite some time. You're not even going to recoup that cost in the first 5 years. And so as a strategy, I'm not a fan of refinancing what you owe and knocking it down to 25 years. Do you have any questions about that option, Dave?
No.
All right, perfect. So I went outside the box though. And I started thinking, and I looked at your credit report and I looked at your debt, and it sounds like you have about $31,000 of debt between your car payment, your credit cards. Does that sound about right, Dave?
Yeah, that's right.
Could you guess what you pay per month? I know how much you pay per month, but what do you think you pay per month for that $31,000 of debt?
I'm not even going to guess. I'm going to let you call it out.
So you spend $1,189 a month for that $31,000 worth of debt. And so what I want to show you is an option that says, hey, let's strategically combine that debt with your mortgage. Now, I am not a fan of taking consumer debt and stretching it out over 30 years. I'm not a fan of raising people's mortgage payments simply to consolidate debt and let you start over again in racking up debt. My goal is to help you accomplish your goals, and I want to show you how I think we're going to do that. So this scenario here says, hey, what if we wanted to save you the most amount of money per month, which might be a good strategy for you. That scenario says, hey, we're giving you the $31,000 you need. Your payment's only going up by $75 a month. Dave, that means you're saving over $1,100 a month, because remember, this payment of $982 pays off all of your debt. Doesn't that sound amazing?
That would be nice.
Okay, but I got a better strategy for you, because you mentioned how you hate the job that you're in and you would love to quit that job sooner. What if I told you you could be debt-free in less than 10 years?
I like that.
Could you imagine that for a second, Dave? Literally, no mortgage, no credit cards, no car payments, nothing in less than 10 years. As a matter of fact, Dave, I said less than 10 years. The truth is, it's a little less than 9 years. It's 8 years and 7 months, 8 years and 8 months, 9 months, sorry. 8 years and 9 months to be completely debt-free for exactly the same payment as you're paying today. What we're doing is we're consolidating everything and giving you the cash out, but that $1,189 you're paying in other debts, just keep paying it towards the mortgage. You will be completely debt-free in 8 years and 9 months, and you're only paying $27,000 in interest to get that done. Your current mortgage, you're going to spend $65,000 in the next 15 years, and you still have 10 years left to pay on it. I really think this is the way to go, Dave. Wouldn't you agree?
I like that little close there. So you were definitely a black belt. When we do our full mortgage coach black belt training, we always teach impact questions. So when you present this strategy, you'll notice if John would have been totally doing it with the client, I could tell, like, he would have said, what would that mean to you? And describe that a little bit more. So if the client really like, wow, 8 years versus 30 years, what would that mean to you? So make sure you guys ask impact questions. So John, this is like an awesome mortgage coach strategy. Anything else you want to add on this one? It's really slick.
No, it's about thinking outside the box. It's about not being an order taker. And I think that is a really big competitive advantage that our online competition doesn't have. Like, they are programmed, hey, 20% down, they're programmed, do you want fries with that? Would you like to supersize it? Like, that's what our industry is about. And we've got to think about what is the best strategy for the client. This one was an absolute home run. And again, if they didn't have that much debt, I would have talked them out of doing the refi. Because saving, almost 1%, saving 7/8 off their interest rate, that $15 a month means nothing. I would have probably shown them a 15-year term and said, hey, let's talk about investing some money into your mortgage to pay it off faster. But in this case, the debt consolidation was the home run.
So let's go to the top real quick. And I want to just summarize things, guys. So it's 2020. And I do believe this is a year where it is an imperative to become a black belt in mortgage advice. And a black belt in mortgage advice, one, delivers advice. It's personally branded. It's got your company logo. It's got your personal brand. It's shareable. You can click a link here, share it. It's viewable on any device. If the family's on an iPhone, they're getting an iPhone. If they're on Android, they're getting Android. They're getting this advice in the most compelling way possible. Every chance you can, put a video on it. Personally engage. Get your personality and the personal brand you're built is only as good as the advice you deliver. And that's the other thing. I think it's super important that you get really good at having the non-QM conversation and presenting non-QM loans. I think it's super important. It's an imperative that you're optimizing your past customer database. You're able to have any conversation with a client and then show them with clarity on a mortgage coach total cost analysis how to do things. So John, before you stop sharing this, anything else you want to show on this TCA?
You know, the only thing I'll say is this one is one of the few that I did prior to talking to the client, but most of my refinance TCAs, I create live. I've gotten to the point where I'll get these done in 15, 20 minutes. As I'm talking to the client, I'm creating it. If they're sitting with me in the office, I'll show them the screen once I'm done, but I'll talk through the options as I'm entering it into Mortgage Coach. And so I'm not having to do work later. I'm not postponing something and saying, hey, I'll get this report to you once I get it created. I do the report while I'm talking to the client and I'm pulling the figures and putting it in. The other thing about past clients, depending upon what CRM you use, is your CRM can dump data directly into Mortgage Coach. So it saves me a significant amount of time when I'm doing a refinance comparison, because all of the data about the loan I did with them before is pulled directly into Mortgage Coach for me with the click of a button.
Boom. So let's stop sharing the screen. Let's close this out. And let's close this out as taking action. Because here's the deal, guys. If you have not used Mortgage Coach before, you know, the pain of change, even though it is an intuitive product. And I think of all the technologies I've seen, the way we have video integrated into it, the way it's a wizard, it's easy to use and easy to learn. But here's the deal. Nothing is easy to learn. You know, like when it comes to like, oh, I'm really good at this and I've done it hundreds of times, to I'm doing something different. So John, I always tell people, like, it's going to take you at least 7 total cost analysis. And that's assuming you have good keyboard skills and you learn technology quick.
Yep.
And usually it doesn't take more than 20. Like somewhere between that 7th time you do it to that 20th time, that's the pain of change. You know, would you align with that?
I agree 100%, Dave. And I'm a testament to giving up after 3. I did my first 3 and I stopped. And I think I paid you for a year without ever doing another one. So I think that's good for your P&L, but not so good for mine.
No, by the way, that is not good for our P&L.
Okay.
I mean, customers that use our product is good for our P&L.
I'm with you. And I agree. And I think that once I recommitted to using it, it didn't take many times. I just had to decide to think about what I'm trying to accomplish and really focus on what is the one area in creating a TCA that I can get the most lift. And I started with pre-approvals because I do a lot of realtor business. And so I committed every pre-approval I did, I was going to create a TCA, no more fee worksheets. And once I mastered that, it became really easy to just watch some of the YouTube videos, learn a different technique, and change how I presented the information to accomplish one of the other techniques. But it was really about committing to one strategy that I said, fine, I'm going to master this strategy. And it didn't take very many times of doing it to become an expert.
So that's another really good point and a speed tip when learning. Like, don't go, oh, I'm going to do an MI analysis, and then I'm doing a rep versus own, and then I'm going to do purchase options. I'm going to do a cash out refi, and your first 5 are different strategies. That would be a painful way to learn how to use Mortgage Coach. I would recommend that I do purchase options all the time. Do 5 of those. Do it to the point where, like, I got this down. And now let's do a first-time home buyer. Now let's do a cost of waiting. You know, all those things will come easier. And here's the other thing, guys. I don't want to make this sound too easy, because while it could take you an hour or 2 to learn and 10 TCAs, it could take you 5 hours. It could take you like an hour 5 days in a row, or an hour over 5 weeks. But John, would you agree that even if it took you 5 hours or longer, is it worth it? And it doesn't save you time now.
It's totally worth it. It saves me so much time right now, because especially when I then have to go back and make a change for a client. And so when I've got somebody that calls me back and says, hey, John, I'm looking to write an offer for a house a little more or a little less than what we were talking about. Can you send me new numbers? It's a 1-minute click of a couple of buttons, and I create, and sometimes I'll decide, hey, I want to keep the same analysis we had and just copy to a new one. Sometimes I edit the analysis that we were using, but it's the follow through with the client and the realtor that saves me so much more time once it's created.
So here's my closing thought, guys. If you buy into the concept and the belief that I need to be a black belt at mortgage advice. I would highly recommend that you make Mortgage Coach the platform to do that. You'll have to learn it, but once you learn it, it's the gift that keeps giving. You'll get more loans from your past customers. You'll convert more of your purchases. You will have less rate exceptions and cost your company less money on price exceptions. And even if you're a loan officer and it doesn't hit you personally, guys, I'm telling you, it hits you personally. You know, a healthy company is a company that lives and dies on their advice and the quality of the value of their presentation, not price. Price is not how you're going to survive as a referral-based local lender. So John, we're closing this out. I'll give you the last words. Any words of wisdom to, you know, your peers that are watching this in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel?
You know, I would say actually the best advice I have right now is take the TCA to every CPA and financial planner you know right now. Because your CPAs are about to get hot and heavy into tax season and people are going to be talking about home ownership. I get a lot of business from CPAs and financial planners, and every one of them has seen how a TCA works and how I differentiate myself and the advice that I give to their clients. And so right now, your CPAs aren't that busy. Their first couple of weeks of the year, the truth is, you know, TurboTax is doing the easy tax returns, and the good CPAs, they don't start really getting busy till February. So you've got a month to go out and show them how your advice is different than everybody else's. And when they have clients this tax season that need great advice, you're the guy to send it to. That's a home run.
Boom. Be captain of the wealth team. We talk about that in our Black Belt Mortgage Coach training. I'm going to put a link down below to one of the interviews I've done on what it means to be a black belt mortgage advice. And make note, guys, be captain of the wealth team. So if you got value from this, give it a like down below. Comment, you know, if there was a takeaway that you got from this interview with John, let John know that, hey, I liked blank. Remember, we're a community here at Mortgage Coach, and our community is only as valuable or is only as good as the engagement. So comment below, give us a like. John, thank you for making time to give back to the Mortgage Coach community, man. I'm super grateful for it.
My pleasure, Dave. Thanks.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks.
And Happy New Year to everyone checking this out as we enter the new year.